until you're tempted to look a little closer. Anyway, while most of Dallas County was worried about being swept clear to Oklahoma, I was wondering if my mother was going to make it through another day without creating a catastrophe. She didn't. And now that I think about it, since you're forcing me to remember it, that morning began the same as any other. We had just decorated the house the night before Christmas. Daddy had to stop twice to go set the features on 2 cases. You know, fix the eyes, cheekbones, basically make the non-viewable viewable. He possessed an extraordinary gift for such things, restructuring dead people, recreating bone. He could transform just about anybody into someone acceptable to gawk at on a Sunday afternoon. People who weren't even related to the families would come to wakes, sometimes just to marvel at the artistry of my father's work. He probably should have been a surgeon, although I don't think that would have made his life any easier. You see, the phone never stopped ringing for him as it was. People seemed to be dying a lot that year, dropping like flies, ultimately ending up downstairs in my house, cold and stiff, waiting to have their fluids flushed by my father. Oh, I'm sorry. You seem surprised. I can understand that. I mean, who would ever guess how bizarre my upbringing was just by looking at me? And you want to know one of the things I remember the most? The clothes. You wouldn't believe the get-up some people dressed their relatives in after they died. Ridiculous ensembles that would kill the dead all over again if they woke up and saw themselves. Anyway, Daddy was extremely busy that day. There was plenty of prep work to do because there were 5 bodies that had to be bathed, embalmed, and made up. Mercy Blue, the girl in charge of post-life makeovers, was wearing a tight red dress. Red was her favorite color. Go figure. And it was a Tuesday because John Coltrane resonated from every corner of the house. Daddy always listened to Train on Tuesdays. Daddy was in a manageable mood, too, because Uncle Brother, that's what we've always called him, was back from New Orleans. Daddy didn't like to admit it, but he depended on Uncle Brother to lighten his mood on the days when Mama was having one of her brain tantrums. Aunt Baby was on the other side of town mixing up some concoction for somebody. I can't recall exactly. I just remember that she wasn't there. If only she had been there. My mother was scurrying from one room to the next like a rat with a cat hot on its tail. She was a blur, a brown blur. You know, she always did that, zipped around from place to place as if her life was getting ready to end, and she just had to complete one last task before her heart stopped beating. Haste was an ongoing obsession with her. Sometimes, I swear, she moved so quickly it looked like she was gliding on air. Mama swore the earth would swallow her whole if she stood still for any length of time. Really, I'm completely serious. It's confounding, I know. Okay, let me clarify this madness for you. You see, if she was sitting on a chair with her feet up, that would be acceptable, but her legs could never ever touch the ground for more than a couple of minutes. Clearly my mother was, shall we say, not playing with a full deck, or was 4 cans short of a 6-pack. How about missing 2 digits in her phone number? Bread was half-baked. Elevator didn't rise all the way to the top. You get the picture? She even propped her feet on a stool when she went to the bathroom. That being said, avoiding well-placed stools became something of a military exercise in my house. We used to pretend like they were landmines ready to blow us to kingdom come if we disturbed them an inch. Jesus, she was crazy. Mama had those stools placed just so because she needed to be able to leap up on one in case the floor started to buckle and suck her under. My brother and sister and I navigated around them with extreme caution. But I said that already, didn't I? You'll have to excuse my redundancy. I was 11.